Now that you've learned about the camera settings for photographing the Milky Way, now we come to the planning stages of it. The planning stages of the Milky Way is probably a little bit more than most landscape photography, as it requires not just knowing sunrise and sunset times, but also requires your knowledge of when the Milky Way starts becoming visible, and it also requires knowledge of light pollution, moonrise, moonset, and moon phases. This first lesson, we will be learning about the Bortle Dark Sky Scale. The Bortle Dark Sky Scale is a scale measurement on sky darkness. It's also a good scale for determining the levels of light pollution. It's also a tool that can be used to be able to determine at what level of sky darkness the Milky Way will become visible. The page you see here is a website that gives you the list on the sky darkness levels, starting from level 1, which is the darkest sky that is you can have in the Earth's atmosphere, going all the way up to level 9, which would be considered the heart of inner cities. I will include a link to the website address on the bottom in the description of this course, but if you look up here, you can see what it is here as well. As you see here, on the very bottom, 9 is the brightest sky, followed by 8, 7, and each corresponds with a specific color rating, and that will coincide with a map I will show you in the next lesson. In extreme circumstances, the Milky Way will be able to be visible in some high levels of light pollution, but only in the very highest point in the sky. That would be a Bordel Class 6 and would be considered a bright suburban sky or suburban areas close to the inner city. Bordel Class 7, which is suburban urban transition zones, which is an area I grew up in, where it is completely invisible and really only a handful of stars are actually visible anyways. Rural areas where you start getting rural is a Bordel Class 3, would be considered a rural area. At that point, you really are able to start seeing some good detail in the Milky Way, where you actually start seeing some structure. In reality, though, you can still see the Milky Way quite well, even in a Bortle Class 4, which would be a rural or suburban transition. The best places to see the Milky Way, though, is in a Bortle Class 1 and Bortle Class 2, which are very isolated areas, far removed from any population centers and relatively low humidity levels. But with the lessons that I gave you prior about camera settings, doing the proper exposure, the camera will be able to capture far more information than what the human eye is capable of seeing. So even in a Bortle Class 4, even Bortle Class 5, you will probably be able to get some good detail in the Milky Way. So you don't have to go out in the middle of nowhere, it's just to photograph the Milky Way. Now, I was raised in Metro Denver, which would be pretty much a 7 through a 9 in the Bortle class. Currently, I am in an area that's considered a Bortle Class 3, the town I live in, and with just a very short drive, I'm able to get to a Bortle Class 2. That is one reason why some of my photos that I come away with that you have seen and I have showed you prior have so much detail and information in our galaxy. Even if you do live in a large urban area, the fact that the Milky Way can start becoming visible in a Bortle Class 6, that bright suburban sky, and become even more apparent in outer suburban sky and really apparent in rural suburban transition zones where you actually can start seeing some structure. Even in large urban areas, all you need to do is travel 15-20 minutes, half an hour outside of the cities, and you will be able to get actually pretty darn good views of the Milky Way. Now remember, the human eye is not that sensitive, so you will not be able to see much more than a milky glow in the sky, and that's why it is called the Milky Way. Even on heavily populated areas like the east coast of the US, you still don't actually have to go very far for the Milky Way to start becoming apparent. Now, like I just said, your eyes, though, are not sensitive to the dark sky, not like your camera is. When you look up, you'll see just a milky scene. But when you take that photo and you'll see the detail in the Milky Way, give yourself some time where your eyes adjust a little bit, you know where to look for. You can actually look up and start seeing that detail. And it's actually a very eye-opening experience. No pun intended. for your assignment, yes, you have an assignment on this one as well. It's easy though. Just go to this website, Bordel Dark Sky Scale, and just look it over. Look at where the Milky Way starts becoming seen and other effects, astronomical objects like deep sky objects, when they become a bit visible, when the zodiac light and constellations get affected or become visible, air glow, nighttime scenes, and get an idea of night sky descriptions, the limiting magnitude of starlight from each art level and light pollution level. And just look it over, learn it, kind of figure out where you're at, where you live, and kind of get an idea where you might find areas where the Milky Way will become visible. On the next lesson, I will take you over a map that actually shows all the areas in the world, not just US, in the world, anywhere in the world where you might be able to find dark skies, and it will be color coded according to the Bortle sky scale. All right, see you later.